We might be able to move the camera down. This is Troy Taylor, and this is the Championship Football Coaches Clinic podcast, sponsored by Reps Virtual Reality, First Down Playbook, Rack Coach, Tip of the Spear, the Top Hopper, and Sports Workbook. Coach Bob Green, you will receive a free sports workbook from my friends in Missouri. All right, and I got Coach. How you doing, Ms. Green? You are a saint. You are a saint. That's all I know. And this is the Championship Football Coaches Clinic podcast. It's the #1 podcast in America. We've only been doing these since we've only been doing these since January, and I paid you twice to do cameos. Once for Coach Old School, and then once for Jim McNally, Coach. And you're the best. So
you're hustling like a homely girl on a honeymoon.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I am a used car salesman, and there ain't no other school in America that's got their football coach and AD. So, Greg Aiken, what would you like to say to Coach Green?
I mean, there's a few things. Number one, Coach Green,
well, from your heart, Greg, from your heart, what is it like being here?
Well, I'm excited. When Troy told me he got you, I looked at him. I said, "Well, is this my debut?" And he said, "Of course." I've been waiting to come on. I was excited when he got you because I think we're going to see a lot through tonight that you two have a lot of the same philosophies on how you coach and go after things. And one of the things that, like, watching you go viral and everybody's worried about what you're saying and how it's funny, but really it's the message that you're giving people that they don't get until they sit back maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes later and go, oh, wow, he was actually referring to this, whereas this, but you say it in a catchy, cool kind of way. Now, Troy, not always sometimes in a catchy, cool kind of way, but sometimes you have to sit and digest.
Coach, you might be giving us too much credit. What do you think, Coach?
With what you're getting.
That's right. You know, when you coach as long as I have, you do have guys come back. They're not kids anymore. They're guys I coached are in their 60s, you know, and they say, you know, Coach, I know what you're talking about now. He's right about that.
Man, I mean, Coach, probably when I sit and think about, it's one of your least viral ones, but it's one that stuck with me the most, was Victory has 1,000 followers, defeat is an orphan. And when you sit and think about that as an athletic director or coach or even anyone that inspires youth, when you win, everybody's there. But when you lose and you're in the trenches, that's where you're going to find who's really there and when you got to dig deep in yourself.
What you think about that, Coach?
No, that's 100% right. You know, Victory has 1,000 followers. Everybody's on the deal when you win, you know, and when you lose, that's why I always tried really hard. You know, I know some coaches have been very successful, and they'll come right out and they say, well, they're honest when they blast players. You know, they'll throw them under the bus, whatever. You know, to the TV camera, to the newspaper guy, the radio guy, whatever. But I always steered clear of that because I thought that was ineffective. As an assistant, I coached for a guy like that, and again, you learn things, and really, you know, you're losing the message twice there on that, you know, because everybody's hearing that doesn't help the kid, and then when the kid hears that, you know, that you've got to work with him on whatever Sunday or Monday or whenever you've got that tape and you're in that room with him, you know, and he's missing it again. So I really think players respond to keeping the thing as a team. Because we say, I mean, we pay lip service to the fact that, hey, we're a family, you know, we're a team. And, you know, you don't go out and do something to your brother or your wife or something to your family and act that way. So, you know, I always tried to do that.
Amen, Coach.
And following up on that, you always said, so people knew, losses were on you. The wins were on the players and the assistants. And I think that all spins together is you took blame for every loss of yours, but you never said that win is mine. No, you said the win is for the kids and the win is for my assistants.
Yeah, no, I really believe that. You know, the head football coach is I remember I think it was Vince Dooley at Georgia said, you know, coaching a football team is managing a series of problems.
That's a true statement.
So you manage a series of problems, and you know you're going to have problems. I get a kick out of coaches who are surprised when they have problems. You're managing a series of problems. Coach Taylor knows that. And so as you progress in managing those problems, you work through those areas. And I always thought, I get a lot of questions about. I had one just the other day at the golf course. I worked for some guys that really had some bad relationships with the TV, the radio, the newspaper. I think you'll see that with several coaches, especially in my generation. They ask stupid questions. Well, it gets in the way of practice. But I never saw an upside to getting in an argument with them. I saw no upside. And I thought if you could say something that they're going to run that helps your university, that helps our football team, that gets you some notoriety, and you just want to get along. Now, do they ask stupid questions? Those things, of course they do. They don't understand cover 4. They don't understand split read. They don't understand any of that stuff, and they're not going to. You can say, well, we're going to have a class educator. Well, you can do all you want. That's just PR, because they're not going to understand. I mean, it's good to do it, but they're not going to understand. So you just got to put up with it. So you want to say something that hopefully people get a kick out of, and sometimes you have something ready to go, and other times you don't. There's another one. Coach Aiken's talking about things that didn't get on. One that got on, it was on. I don't know why they didn't. We're getting ready to play. Azusa Pacific out there in California.
Pretty good.
Second round of the playoffs. They're pretty good. Now they drop football now, but they went to Division 2, then they drop football. They got 8 million kids to draw from there. They're pretty darn good. So I'm a little puckered up about that. I wish, we're talking around Christmas or, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so I wanted to see him here in Butte, Montana be about 18 below, 20 below. We thought we had a chance against those Southern Cal guys. So anyway, you go to the game, you're getting ready to go. Well, you also have lives and you have things. I know that Pam Green will remember this. Our daughter had a granddaughter, here in town in Butte. That's a small town, 35,000 people. Everybody knows everybody. I was right there with her, right there with her on our Monday, which was our off day, for the practice. And Tuesday we practiced pretty, that's some guys call it Bloody Tuesday and everything. We were doing that before. That's full pad day. And so we're out there getting ready to practice, and the TV guys out there going. A couple of them were out there, and I thought they were going to talk about the game. So I said, fine, here we go. And the first thing one of the guys said is, hey, listen, Coach, congratulations on being a grandpa. Everybody knows. I said, hey, thanks, it's great. He said, well, how does it feel to be a grandpa? And I said, well, it's really nice, except now I sleep with a grandma.
I haven't seen that one.
And then we started talking about, by the way, we beat Azusa Pacific in the hell of a game. But at any rate, how do I know what he's going to run that night? You don't know that. So I get home about 11 o'clock that night. My goodness, smart one, my God! And so that one didn't work out very well. But they should have had it on.
Yeah, Coach. So we did a little research, and I mean, it's amazing. Coach hooked me up with you from UVA Wise. I went to UVA Wise, Clinch Valley College, 1996. I was a freshman in college. I didn't even dress out for the playoff game, but we got beat by Westminster, and you went to the national championship of NAIA. And a lot of people don't even know about NAIA. Marcus Mayo, my friend who's from Montana, was amazed that you were on, Coach. I mean, you're a living legend in the state of Montana, Coach. So talk a little bit about that.
It's a small state. Big land-wise, but small state, not a lot of people. So you hang around long enough, you get to know everybody.
Yeah.
You go recruiting everywhere. You're throughout the whole state. So, and I always had the eastern half of Montana, and that's kind of the least populated area, So at any rate, you get to know people, and I coasted a couple of small towns, in Nebraska, could kind of make that connection. Montana's a friendly state. Butte's a real friendly town, and you just get to know people.
So, Coach, you are from Nebraska, correct? Tell us a little bit about growing up and your folks, and how'd you get into football and your coaches?
I grew up in Grand Island, Nebraska, and then we moved to Lincoln, Nebraska in about 1960.
Woo!
And, so there, in terms of getting into football, that was when Bob Devaney took over, and that's when the Cornhusker thing really started to take off. So that was exciting to be a kid then, to be 11, 12, 13 years old and see all that happening, do those things. And growing up there, that was really you just absorbed it, you just lived it. And of course we played all sports. Shoot, we played baseball in the summer and football in the fall and basketball in the winter. I'm a heck of a basketball player. I'm always open. I never understood those coaches. Greg, you're an athletic director. The basketball coaches always say you got to get open. Well, I was always open. I told Coach that, Coach Bates. I shot it. I'd rather pass a kidney stone than a basketball. That's a lot, man. And but at any rate, so you did all the sports, and I grew up. And then I graduated from high school in 1968, and Coach Devaney didn't sign me. Coach Broyles at Arkansas didn't sign me. Nobody signed. I didn't have very good grades. So the United States Marine Corps signed me. If you remember, the war was going then.
Yeah.
And
what year did you go to Parris Island, Coach?
I did not go. I was west of the Mississippi. We went to San Diego.
Okay, wow. My dad was at Parris Island in 1959, so.
We had a lot of guys. Of course, they needed a lot of guys for Vietnam. We had guys from West Virginia, Ohio, from eastern Mississippi too. They're just trying to get guys through. And so of course you go to infantry training and you go to communication training and those things. And then I was one of the very few guys. I really don't know why. You just go where they tell you. I got sent to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Oh, our way.
So I went all the way across the nation. I got there on a Sunday, and on Monday they told me I was going to Vietnam.
It's a quick turnaround.
I mean, if you're in the Marine Corps in the 60s, mid to late 60s, you went to Vietnam. So I got sent back to California, then went to Vietnam, and then I got back from there. Really fortunate. And
how many years? How many years were you there, Coach?
I was only there a year.
Okay, right on.
Marine tour was 13 months.
Yeah.
The theory was it took 2 weeks to get over on a boat, and then 2 weeks to get back, so it was 13 months. But they assigned you 13 months, so we flew over, and then when I flew back, I got out of the Marine Corps. I didn't want to make a career of it, and so I was still shitting sea rashes when I went to Kearney State out there in Nebraska. Walked on there to play football, and got a chance to play. Just had a great experience. I owe those guys. I really owe those guys. Walked on, got a scholarship, started for a couple of years, and then coached there. So that's where I got started coaching.
Yeah. So go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Coach. So my dad is a military man. I actually lived from the time I was about 6 months to 3 in Great Falls, Montana.
Air Force, you bet.
Yeah, so he's an Air Force. I'm an Air Force brat. So I always ask people this: how did the military help shape your coaching and how you operated things?
I think there's a couple of things. First of all, you talk about taking responsibility for things. The Marine Corps teaches you to take responsibility. They teach lead from the front. You see those second lieutenants, those platoon commanders, they lead from the front. Those squad leaders, they lead from the front, and that's something you learn in the Marine Corps. And then you also learn, that the teamwork element's huge. But you learn that making it can be done. That it's possible to make it. And a lot of guys had a lot worse than me. I was very fortunate, but I made it a couple of times where you're wondering about things, and you can make it, and you have that confidence, and you can tell other guys. You can tell other guys to do that. The discipline. Now, I've always kind of looked at. I've never argued with anybody, but somebody say, "Well, we're going to a war. It's going to be a war today." I never use those terminologies. I've been to war. It's just a different deal, man. Nobody blows a whistle and goes take a shower afterwards. That just doesn't happen. So I always stayed away from doing that.
Yeah,
I was lucky enough to have a loud voice, and that helps in the Marine Corps. They watch the sound off.
Yeah,
man.
We're pretty lucky to have some great men on Coach Taylor's coaching staff that have been in the military, and you definitely can see what you said they all bring to our coaching staff. they're leading from the front. They're always out there. They're disciplined. The organization, Coach Taylor's not the best at organization. He has some of them help him on the organizational part of things like that. And that's one thing I think, being a military son that I am, my dad was in the Air Force for 21 years. I learned some of those things through him. I definitely couldn't have made it in the military. I know that. But I definitely saw some of those things from my dad and learned from them. And I've definitely seen some coaches that have been in the military, and what you said, those disciplined and leading from the front, are definite things that you see from a lot of really good people that have went that path.
Well, my dad was a savage and is still a savage at 80. He was a drill instructor at Parris Island, and he was force recon, and he went on a few missions where snakes had to bite his hand because he was in North Africa. Yeah, and he's not allowed to talk, Coach. So they do a great job. And my friend, who was an Army Ranger, the hardest coach of all time and the most loved, died. He died last year, but this was his birthday, Coach. And I had a Green Beret Army Ranger on yesterday talking about his virtual reality. So you started coaching and you fell in love with it, right? I mean, you can't live without it.
Yeah, well, what happened, we had a good year. We didn't go to the playoffs, won the conference championship. And I'm a gym rat, like I told you, hanging out at the gym like a lot of coaches are. And so it's like, that area between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'm shooting hoop, playing pickup ball. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to get married. I knew that, Pam Green. And the coaches asked me to come in the office. And, you kind of wonder when the coaches ask you to come in the office, and so they said, now listen, Green, we know you have a year of school left, and we'll keep you on scholarship if you want to coach. If you'll coach, we had freshman teams in those days, and so we coached the freshman defensive backs and helped with game preparation, recruiting, and all those things. And they said, we want you to think about it, and we'll keep you on scholarship. I said, well, I just did. I'm in. I just thought it over. And went over to Pam Green, and that's how we started coaching. So I started that spring, and I owe those guys an awful lot, man. They're great guys.
Yeah, so you coached a couple of years in high school. You were an assistant coach. Talk a little bit about the coaches that were influential in your life, Coach. Who were the guys that led you?
All the coaches. I think you learn something from all the coaches in high school. My high school coaches, I can't say I was ever really, super close to them. They were more disciplinary figures in those days. The one of them, Coach Sell, was a lot tougher disciplinary figure. Then you graduate, and of course I was out for a few years. I didn't play because I was in the Marine Corps in Vietnam. And then I came back, and I was really taken. And I went to we had good teams, the biggest high school classification at that time, in Nebraska, Southeast High School. We were Class A. And but I was stricken immediately by how organized things were, by how they break down techniques. And again, I'd had that Marine Corps experience, so maybe I didn't appreciate it as much, as in high school. But those guys had a big influence on me. And then, then I went to Minnetonka, Nebraska. Minnetonka's a town so small you headed into town to go hunting. The average age of deceased is it's right out on the Wyoming line. And we, started out a little thin there. And then we had some real good kids, won some games. Then I ended up going to the University of Northern Colorado down in Greeley. I was assistant there from that coach, Bob Blasey. I learned he was kind of the quintessential head coach. He really let his coaches coach. He was a leadership figure. I kind of learned that from him. And then went back to Broken Bow, Nebraska. Had to eat, being assistant coach there. We had one on the ground and one on the way. And eating's an old habit, hard to break. And then we were there at Broken Bow only for a year, and went to Northwest Missouri State, which is really about as good as it gets in Division II.
Oh yeah.
Great fun. They've won 6 national championships, and we were good. One year we weren't good enough, we got fired. So I know. Then I was lucky enough to get hired by the next staff. But so I and I recruited the Mississippi junior colleges. My kids, they think I exaggerate because, what was the show on Last Chance U?
Yeah.
Last Chance U, going to all those places. And, of course, I told my daughter, I've been to all those places. I've been to all of them, man.
They're the scuba.
Recruiting back there from Northwest. Then got a chance to come out here, and I really didn't know anybody. We like the Rocky Mountain West, and Montana Tech's right on the Continental Divide. Our stadium's almost 6,000 feet in the air. They advertised in the old NCAA News, the newspaper. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
And Northwest, we had our last game, and we had another good year, but we weren't in the playoffs that year. But and so I applied just out of the dark, and the athletic director was a Marine too, and Bill Yeagle. He'd also coached at Northern Colorado, so get lucky there. And so I got an interview, and of course I told Pam Green, I got this, man. They can't have anybody like me, coach there. And so anyway, fly out here to Montana, do the interview. I think I'm knocking them dead, but I've always had some jobs. But the only time anybody offered me a job out of the blue was at the University of Nebraska Carnegie. I can tell you after I done playing. Everything else I had to apply, hustle, do everything I could. And I'm not a very good interview guy because I get worked up. At least I did back then. And, I don't give a guy enough personal space. And I'm right up in that college president's face, telling him how we're going to win, how we're going to be positive production and all the things we did, we're going to win. I'm about 2 inches away from him. The spit and the boogers and the snot and everything's coming, and his name was Lindsey Norman. And he backed off a minute and said, "Oh, Coach, you realize we have a tremendous engineering curriculum here." And I told him I always like trains.
Yeah, me too.
So, boom, right over his head.
Yeah.
PhD guys, that stuff's no good. So I went home and I told Pam Green, I got this. This is easy. But like the old country music song, if the phone ain't ringing, it's me. They never call back. They tried to hire 4 other guys, but that's all right with me. That was whatever the 5th choice. Got the job.
Yeah. So, there's always coaches today. They say like the rec coaches want to go to high school. The high school coaches want to go to college. The college guys want to go to the NFL. You went from high school to college. What advice would you give a coach out there today that might be watching that wants to move up? I mean, is it okay just being a high school coach, or how do you work your way up, Coach?
Well, I think it's okay being wherever you are, you're coaching.
Amen.
That's something you learn in the military, in the Marine Corps. You're working for your next job. You do a great job with the job you got now.
Amen.
You want to make Lance Corporal. You better do a hell of a job as a PFC. You do a great job wherever you are. And I think. Of course, today with the electronic media and all those things, it's probably different. Meet as many guys as you can. When you're young and you can move and those type of things. And if you're interested in doing that, get a chance to meet guys. I met a coach from Northern Colorado at an All-Star game in Western Nebraska, and that's kind of how that thing got started. Get a chance to make as many contacts as you can. That's true. That is true. And then always make sure that you carry a clean slate. That you try. I always say, you do right and make a friend. That's what we always said. Have as few enemies as you can. Now, you don't coach 40 years like I did without having a few enemies. And part of some big time rivalries. And there's some people probably don't think too much about Green. But I'd always try and maintain as good a relationship as I could with people.
Yeah, Coach. I mean. So you become head coach in 1987 at Montana Tech, and did you ever think that you would be there until 2010 as the head coach?
No. I just tried to do as good a job as I could, and again, I was very, very lucky. I've been the all-time luckiest coach in the world. I took over Tech did not have recent success. They had some spotty success in past years, but they never had an extended time where they're real good. And we managed to get that thing going, and to do some things. But it takes everybody. I wanted all the time from the administration, but the administration was very supportive. The community is very supportive. Butte and Montana Tech have a great relationship. They're joined at the hip. We used to be the School of Mines. Montana Tech still has a large mine, or Butte, Montana, pardon me, still has a large mine here in town. So they're really joined at the hip. And Texas is a great place. But no, I never thought I'd be there that long. But, you get going and you look at a couple of deals. And then we looked at a couple of deals in later years. And Pam Green has been with me through all those moves. So, well, if that one looks good to you, go get it. But guess where we're staying?
Yeah.
They're going to be at home.
And you've been an AD also on the high school level and college. So, Greg, what would you like to ask him, from the AD perspective?
So one of the things that I try to take pride in.
That went out with the dinosaurs with high button shoes. That me being a football coach in '80. Back in those days, though, that's what we did. Petrino, the famous Petrino clan.
Yes.
He was the AD at Carroll and the football coach.
They were a great program.
Casey Kelch down at Western was a basketball coach in the AD. That's just what they did. But there's too many things to do now. You've got so many rules and regulations. You've got so much paperwork. You've got so many forms. Plus you got to raise millions of dollars. I mean, you can't do the same thing like you did back then.
I will say this: I'm lucky to have Troy that lets me at least come out once every 2 weeks and just get to watch practice. Because I'd say probably the part that I miss the most about being AD is actually like working with the kid at practice. I was a baseball coach. I did a little bit of football. I'm a big guy, so just translate. I can go work with the offensive line, and I'll hike the ball for Troy when he's doing offensive drills or whatever. But like somebody asked me the other day, what do you miss most? I said, I miss, like, as a pitching coach, I miss getting in the bullpen and working with a kid, And I was like, I love the AD part of it. Yeah, I do. Actually, I'm one of the few people that love trying to go raise money. It's about that time of year for me, so I'm going to hit the trail on that coming up soon. But one thing that I try to pride myself on, but I've always want to work to be better at, is having that relationship as an athletic director with your head coaches. One thing, Troy and I think we have a great relationship. We can tell each other the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll yell at each other 1 minute, but we're going to hug it out after, because we're going to do what's best all in all for our school and our kids. And that's kind of how we always look at it. So do you have any advice for coaches and ADs on how to manage that relationship?
No, I think that's great. I've heard it said before that, the AD shouldn't get close to the coaches, because they might have to part ways. And I've heard that said. I've heard that said by a coach. One coach I worked for said, we might not get real close because I don't know how these things are going to work out. I think that's wrong. That's the wrong approach. I think if you're all in the business for the experience of the athletes and for the institution, then you should do a lot of things. Our athletic director now here at Montana, Texas, does a great job. Matt Stepp was a hell of a player for us back in the day. Defensive lineman, tech graduate. These guys got to be smart, calculus, physics, chemistry. And he went all over the country in construction and mining. And now he's back. He's the athletic director. And those coaches have a great relationship. They play golf together. Their kids play baseball and basketball and football together. And so I think those relationships are important, because it's just because things are going to get tough sometimes. And, when you're together, when issues arise, it's a lot easier to face them. It's a lot easier to find solutions. When you're unified and you have a message that's the message that comes from the institution, and that's what you do. And you depend on each other, and I think that's the way to do it. You guys got a great relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, our principal. Her whole philosophy is work hard, play hard, and take care of each other. So
and we do our best to live by that in every way. And we're lucky to have a principal that is so supportive of athletics and then rolls into football in every sport. But I think you hit one real important thing that I've heard, and I really try to say, is we need to be unified. Troy and I have had this discussion before. We're going to be unified when we go out together. But behind closed doors, where we figure out how to be unified, but that stays behind the closed door. Mm-hmm. When we're out in front of everybody else, we're hand in hand, we're unified, we're saying what we need to say.
Two observations on that. That is so correct. That is so correct. I don't know if this ever happened to you when you're on another staff or playing college football someplace. You're going to decide how you're going to do that, in meetings. And
Yeah, Coach. So, before there was the internet and before there was social media, I mean, probably people thought you were an overnight success. They probably thought, well, where did this guy come from? But you really were just being you for so many years, correct? Or tell us a little bit about that.
I knew, I told you before, I would know I'd have something I'm going to say, knowing that I had somebody to talk to. Or a lot of it's just spontaneous. It just comes up. Just comes up. And, people from the area knew. But, the internet. Now, I don't know how that gets on. You guys got to load how technological savvy I am. I couldn't even get on the computer today.
We got it, Coach.
We got you.
There were people put together, different collections of interviews and things, and they've used that. I know that guy Robertson put that together a couple of years ago. He got a great job. He moved, and you just somehow the thing just grows, and you put it out there, and now it gets so many hits and so many looks and so many views. I saw one deal. The guy showed me the other day. It's got it's got the lines and the graphs, and talks about being an influencer. And I have no idea. I'm not an influencer. Don't know how to do it. But they said with Green's influence, and they get some kind of formula they get out of. He ought to make $103 million a year. And no, I don't make any money. You get money on cameos, but you don't make any money on the video. But it's fun. You hear from people all over. You can't believe the people you hear from, and then old friends and those kind of things. Or when you're out someplace and you're not in Montana. We go to Arizona in the winter, like with all the other old people. Go down, play golf, hike, everything. Eat supper at 4 o'clock, go to bed at 8. That's just like all the other old people. And but so many times down there, we'll be at a restaurant, our favorite Mexican restaurant, and 2 or 3 people came up. You're this coach, aren't you? You looked at. I had cancer about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, talk about that, Coach. Talk about the overcoming cancer.
Just Agent Orange is the gift that keeps on giving. I had to be in Denver getting operated on, and they used to do a great job. Those people, those cancer hospitals, they used to do a great job. They line everybody up at 5 o'clock. Yeah, I had to go there twice. And you go in, and the young kids or physician assistants are getting me ready to go. They got the phone and go, and they looked at the videos. That got me a little more relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, Coach. So, what was that? Might have been last summer or 2 summers ago. Greg texted me your highlight film of all your interviews, and he said, "Watch this, Coach." And he's like, "This guy reminds me of you," but I don't, Coach. I don't like the Bill Belichick in the interviews. Like when we started this podcast, like my buddy Shane told me, "Troy, don't do it because you're going to talk too much." So, but Coach, I mean, we did it. We started this thing, and we had Herb Hand, Jim McNally, and Bob Green. I'm feeling like Vinny. What's his name? The guy that found Michael Jordan. And that I'm feeling like Matt Damon in the movie, Coach.
Hey, you do a great job. I don't know why you got to do more with the media.
Man, Coach.
The hard thing is, you don't know what they're going to say sometimes. Sometimes they ask you a question. I remember years ago we had a brand new TV gal here, and we did getting all the pictures taken and getting the press day and all that's always a pain in the ass because the coaches want to coach, and you're in. It's August, you're in pre-season. Guys been working out all summer, they're ready to go, and so I would do it. I'd say we're gonna practice in the morning, and in the afternoon, nothing. Everybody's got their uniforms on, and they take pictures and videos and pictures for mom. And by then, guys had cell phones, they're video on their own deals. That's all we're going to do. And then we're done, then we come back, we do something that night. But at any rate, so this gal's new, and she wants to move on to ESPN, which she did. I don't think of her name shortly. But so anyway, we get all done, and we're talking about the season, talking about the first game, and everybody thinks they're always going to be good in the season, but pre-season, which is great. And she says, say something funny. So I say something funny. And then they got to the camera going. I said, well, that's a tough question then. I said, okay, I got one. Say something funny. I said, what did that famous football coach, Amos Alonzo Staggs, say right before he died? She looked at me and I go, oh! I said, you need to run that.
Did she?
Yes, she ran it.
Oh, we have a great. I will say when I moved, I moved from Maryland here. I moved right outside the Naval Academy, was where I grew up. And one of the things that I love about the Richmond area is we do have a great local. They take pride in high school football in this area. We have a great local reporter. His name's Sean Robertson, and he kind of covers our area of town. And Sean has actually a great relationship with Troy. But when Sean puts the camera up, it's like a completely different thing. When I tell you, Coach Green, it is Belichick. It is Belichick. It is like 1 to 2 word answers. And Sean will look at me after the thing. He goes, "Can we get him to say anything else?" I was like, "Yeah." When you don't have the camera up, he's going to give you everything you want. Everybody's a great team when the camera's not up. But
everybody's a great team.
You get nothing.
That's the same way. Every coach has a great recruiting class. It's amazing how anybody figure out how to lose a game.
Man, they're all We were so lucky to get this guy. Same way the NFL, Coach. The draft. Yeah.
Best draft ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, Coach, couldn't even beat Coastal Carolina. I mean, they ain't nowhere near the Patriots. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but now they got Aaron Rodgers, Coach. Aaron Rodgers. Who is your team, Coach? Do you have a team? Who?
Well, I never, for one thing, in college football, you're always working on
Yeah.
on Sunday. And what developed for us was on Sundays, and we celebrate. We win a game, we celebrate. I'm a little late, but then if we're on the road, we're back, or you might vary it. We took some really long trips, and you had to kind of adjust your schedule. But you get in a bus from Butte, Montana to Humboldt, California, and then come back right after the game. 20-hour bus ride. But so I meet with the coordinators, before church, and then go to church with my wife, and when the kids were here with the kids, and then we'd go coaches meetings on Sunday, and get that done, kind of grind it down. So you might have a game on TV or something, but I never really got really close to one. Now I do. I've got my teams are AFC teams in the same division because I coached at Northwest Missouri State, so the Chiefs, are near and dear, and they've done a great job. I think they got a great organization. I think they got a hell of a coach, and they got a hell of a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. And then I was in Northern Colorado for some years, and so you kind of get in with the Broncos, and they're kind of a regional team out here. We're kind of halfway between the Broncos and Seattle. So, the Broncos and the Chiefs, probably my two teams.
Yeah,
I got one for you, Coach. Luckily, in Virginia, we're not blessed with playing in 18 below zero. But in case it ever happens, do you have any recommendations for Coach Taylor and I to stay warm that day?
Well, don't make a big deal of it with your players. Our guys are used to cold weather, and the least you mention that, the better. Heaters on the sideline are a good idea. Some guys say they're not. Guys are all different. A lot of guys, they got their sleeves off. You see guys like that. We have guys like that. They want to show off those guns, and they're doing it, without it anyway. So that's fine. And we really never had any problem. We did for one year. We had a lot of classes at one time. So we did this more than 1 year, 3 or 4 times. We'd have to go 1 day a week, practice 5 in the morning. So, you got to get your ass up early. If you're getting taped and everything, you go up there and turn on the lights, and you're going. And we had a guy freeze up. One of our offensive linemen. He had to get him in and put him in the hot tub. Pump him out a little bit. Yeah. But the least you say about it with your team, the better. Now, for the other team, say we hope you can stay warm. we hope it's going to be good. I think it's going to be warmer than they think, Then when you say you think it's going to be warmer, you give them something real cool. I think it'll be up to 19, 20 below, And tell them we're going to have a warming trend.
So you're telling me as AD, I send all the warming stuff to the away team and tell Coach, you remember you cold. Coach Green said, you guys stay cold. I get them warm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We make them stay outside at halftime, Coach. We don't even give them a locker room.
We don't have one. That's
Have you ever been anywhere where it was really, really cold and they didn't let you go in a locker room?
Well, that was right now they've got a place, but at Western Montana College, which is now Montana Western, Dillon, now they made their facilities better, but we would dress at the high school, and so halftime we go down the field runs east and west, so we'd go to the west end zone where we were there. You make a circle so guys can take a pee.
Yeah.
The chalk boards and the grease boards out there, and away you go.
Man,
I will say this: my first year as AD coach, we're playing one of our rivals at a JV game on Thursday night, and I'm sitting on the sidelines, and they go, "That's your end zone for halftime." So the boys jog down, and there was no bathrooms over there. The next thing I look, half my JV boys are peeing through the fence.
Yeah, well,
with my JV assistant coach, who's probably been there for 25 years, and his wife standing next to me, who's in our Hall of Fame at the school, and she's just laughing, and I'm just like,
well, I'm glad it wasn't an electrical fence, Yeah, Coach. Coach, the Petrinos. I mean, what was so great about the dad? I mean, I know that the son, he loves motorcycles.
Yeah, stay away from them. And don't want the volleyball grad assistant there.
Yeah.
He, you know how funny the world is. Right now, our head coach, Kyle Sampson, is Bob Petrino's grandson.
Wow.
But Kyle's mom is Bob Petrino's daughter. Anyway, I got to know Bob when I first got here, and he's already a legend. They'd won all the time, and when you go into a place, figure out who you have to beat. We had to beat Carroll. I mean, we got to figure out a way to beat them. And they did a great job. They ran the option. And my first year, Paul was playing quarterback. The one who's where is Paul now? He's with Jim McElwain there at Western Michigan, and so at Central Michigan. And so anyway, he was a hell of a player, and we had a tough time beating him. And then he coached with Bob there. When I first got here, I think Bobby had just left the staff, and so I don't know him as well. I know Paul better, and I know the old man better. But they're great. A family that's into football. And Bob he was tough. He had that voice, like that, son of a bitch. And he was the last coach to smoke on the sidelines.
Wow.
1998, Bob smoked cigarettes on the sideline. When I was a kid, high school coach smoked cigarettes on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean.
But Bob Petrino's the last guy to coach. Coach Petrino, 1998, Carroll Tech, Thursday night TV game, packed, of course, because that's his last game. And he was still smoking then. I believe that he was the last guy in America that I know anything about. That was 98.
Yeah.
His teams were always tough, hard-nosed, run that option, come right after you, good in the offensive line. Bob did a heck of a job. And then, the boys grew up in football, and Bobby, went all over different places. And then Paul had moved around. Paul's in Idaho for a long time. He got let out. And he's with another Montana guy now at Central Michigan, Jim McElwain, who was at Florida.
Yeah.
And was an offensive coordinator at Alabama.
Yeah. I was just thinking, Coach, like Jeremy Speer here, he's our senior center. That's his dad, and he was my freshman coach. And Dutch Schrotenboer was from Alpena, Michigan. And in 1983, he came down here to LC Bird and brought, the Bo Schembechler offense and defense, the I formation.
Still wear the wings.
We wear the Michigan wings, LC Bird Skyhawks. So, Coach, I don't know if Montana's near Michigan because I didn't pay attention in geometry, Coach. Geometry was not my best subject. All right.
You're talking geography.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah. So it's.
I've coached a football game in Michigan, though. I've coached a couple of them. We had,
Yeah, Brian Kelly.
Grand Valley, Michigan.
Talk about coaching in the NAIA, because I know the NAIA now has rules, but when I played, we didn't have any rules.
Yeah, the NAIA has just come a long way.
It's came a long way.
Everything's organized. They do a great job. I think the key to the NAIA is you're what's happening. NCAA, Division I's what happened.
They don't care about nothing else.
Come on, and I'll give you a great example. I watched the Division II basketball tournament on TV, the NCAA Division II basketball. You could have shot a shotgun in there. There is nobody there.
It's like a WNBA game.
Guys doing the play-by-play, yeah, and our guys went to the final 8 there, in Kansas City. Place is packed, jumping. I mean, it's a tournament atmosphere, and the reason is the NAIA is set up. We're what's happening. The NCAA. If you're the FBS or the SEC, Big Ten, you're what's happening. But the rest of them, not so much.
Yeah, they don't care about anything but the big dogs.
And that's the way I see the NAIA, and that's why I like it. Not every. It used to be when we started with scholarship limitations. I was president of the NAIA Coach Association when we started going through all that stuff.
Do you know Coach Ramsire? Do you know Coach Bill Ramsire? Man, he was my college coach, and he was the head coach at Wilmington. And he used to, Wilmington is where the Bengals had their preseason, summer camp. So he actually watched Paul Brown and Bill Walsh and Coach McNally, through the years. So, Coach Ramsire was the ultimate professional. What can you say about him, Coach? Because I know I got a lot of guys that are going to watch the play for him.
Yeah, he coached in Missouri for a few years.
You're exactly right, Coach.
Good guy, and like you said, he was always dressed nice, man. He beat the NCAA over at the American Football Coach Association.
Yeah.
He is.
Hair's perfect.
Yeah, and going to make sure everybody's squared away and he followed the procedure stuff. He's a great guy. But that's when we were going through all the rules and setting up things kind of on the Division II model is what we are, about what counts as scholarship and what doesn't. And guys thought it'd be the end of the world. It wasn't. It's made for a better game. It's made for a more competitive situation. And again, you're the product for the NAIA. Montana Tech's the product. Wilmington, Wise, they're the product. Are they still NAIA or are they Division III?
I think they're Division II now, Coach.
They're Division II, yeah.
Yeah, they're Division.
They're the product. They're what's happening. So I think there you get a chance to get the ear of the administrators, and they're trying to get us a good experience, and going to playoffs, going to the national championship game. We went to the playoffs a lot of times. We didn't go to the national championship game but once, but you get the feeling, that you're the product, you're the center of attention.
Yeah. Greg, what do you feel, man? We've been on here with 50 minutes with Coach, man. Did you ever think that you would be on a podcast with the Coach Bob Green?
No, and the one thing that I'm excited about, to tell people is the man that you see the clips of is the man he really is. He's authentic. He cares. He's honest. He's charismatic. He's funny. But he also, you could tell, he loves the game of football and he loves coaching and he loved his players and he loved the people that worked for him. And that's what you see conveyed. And one cool thing that he did it in a way of positivity. And everyone's going to coach their way, but you did it through the positive way. You made people smile and chuckle. Yeah, you were hard on them. Yeah, every coach is. It's what we have to do to get the best out of who we want. But, this was a great hour. I'm going to glow about this tomorrow. This was a long day. We had graduation this morning, Coach. So.
I don't want to interfere with graduation.
Well, I saw when I was.
Coach, I did 2 hours, Coach, with Herb Hand and Jim McNally.
When I was doing my little bit of pre-work, I saw you actually.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we were always positive. I insisted the assistants be positive. Be consistent, but be positive. If we were going fishing for Moby Dick, we'd take along tartar sauce. That's the kind of guys we are.
And I think that's.
We just said, don't worry That's the way we
You know, I want to tell you this, Coach, because I didn't know this, but after watching The Last Dance, now I could be wrong, but you know, the great coach Phil Jackson, I believe he's from somewhere out there, North Dakota.
He grew up in Deer Lodge, just outside of Butte. Then he moved over to North Dakota for high school. He went to high school over in North Dakota, Williston, North Dakota. Yeah.
Yeah. So
big deal, home of. He got it right there, man.
Yeah, I watched him in the last.
He's got a house up at Flathead Lake.
I watched The Last Dance, and they talked about when Dennis Rodman met him the first time. Dennis Rodman looked up and saw that he had this Indian thing, and he told him that both of them had, you know, been descendants of the Indians. And this is what Phil Jackson told Dennis Rodman, and I think you are one too, Coach. He said that you would be a Heyoka. He said, Dennis, you are a Heyoka. You are a Heyoka, which is a backwards walker, a sacred clown. Coach, you probably, your energy, I mean, can you sense other people's energy? Can you change the energy of the room?
I think you can. You know, you can tell people that way. You know, I'm not going to say you bat 1,000. You make mistakes. But, yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what, Coach, I am. I mean, it's like you can change the energy of a room by you saying something funny, can't you, Coach?
Sure.
Yeah.
Getting to know people.
Yeah.
And then trying to involve people. You know, I see guys at coaches' clinics kind of sitting off their own self. You know, don't make contact with them and those type of deals. Sure.
Yes. So I have some coaches ask me some questions. And this is the couple questions that they asked me. How do you make a staff, a football staff, like a family?
Well, I think that you make a football staff like a family by, first of all, you know, you've got to establish how you're going to coach. We're going to be positive. I told everybody we hired, we're going to be positive. And again, this is learning from other coaches. It does you no good to degrade a kid. First of all, it's not the right thing to do. Second, it's a waste of time. Now, if anybody saw more changes in the 40 years that I coached in football, I'd have to see it. Because it went from a really lightly regulated industry to a heavily regulated industry. So you only got 2 hours out there with you. Only got 20 hours. Come on, man. You know, you're burning daylight if you're saying something about a kid's ethnic background or his personal habits, you know, or anything like that. First of all, it's not right. But second, you are burning my daylight. You know, we're paying you.
Yeah.
You are and you got to think that he can win. You know, we took over here. We didn't have guys who won many games. We didn't have a guy on our football team that won a game with Montana Tech. Champion. Had won a game. We won the first one. They're all 32 ACTs plus. They knew they were bad. You didn't have to tell them they were bad. But we had some good players from that team. And I'm just the opposite of Prime. When I took over program, I said, we want now you got to do the work. You got to join us. We lost, guys. But we want you. We want you. We think you can win. You know, so we work that way. And then with the coaches, you got to say you want to be consistent. So if you are that more of a stringent disciplinarian, don't change gears. Don't change gears with kids. Don't change gears with people. You stay the same way, but you have to be positive. I'm not gonna have you run a kid down. You want him to do better. In other words, John, that was a good first step. Then you got Reese. You can do better than that. So I think that's how you start to build a staff. You get people that way. Then hey, do things together. Have fun. Kid each other. Go to meetings. We did stuff like we bought a course in communication from someplace.
That was the coach. That was a question. One of the questions was, what is the key to communication? This is a guy who's had a losing record 2 years in a row. He's been a winner everywhere else he's been, but now he's gone to this program and he feels like he can't turn it around. What's the key to communication?
Well, I think now this can be annoying. I mean, my wife's told me this many times. You can't tell a guy too many times. A lot of coaches disagree with me. But you can't tell a guy too many times. You go back to Marine Corps, the old man will say, what's going on. You can't repeat it enough times. Can't say it again enough times. I think that you need to do that. I think that they need to understand. Then you might, if you're losing like that, you might be trying to do too much. Now, I hate to sound like an old coach, but I'm an old coach. Don't try to do too much. Better to do too little than to do too much, and let them have some success doing some things that are pretty simple, and they'll get on to doing something that might be a little more complicated.
Yeah, here's another question, and I think this might be a good one to end with, Coach. What does football mean to you?
Football to me is, the old T-shirt there, football's life. Some people say, well, that's just crazy. Well, I have a wonderful life. I have a wonderful family. I live in a wonderful community. I'm blessed. But football is life. I still think in terms of football. And I wake up at night to go to the toilet, and I can't go back to sleep. I'm thinking about football. You know how that goes? And I watch all the Ordinger games. I know the parents. I don't want to coach anymore. I knew when it was time to quit coaching. But again, now they say, well, you got a special world. I tell you what I'm like at the football offices there at the building. I'm kind of like a goose. I go in there and see everybody and wander around and shit all over everything. Then I fly out. So I still stay connected that way. But yeah, I think in terms of football all the time. It's always on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, and another kid asked me, the same kid that asked me that, he's a 21-year-old coach in Minnesota. All right, he's coaches 9th grade. He asked me, now this is a tough one here, Coach, but you already answered it kind of, because you well, it's two more questions. How do you make football? Here you go, Coach. I'm not smart enough to think of this question, Coach. How do you make, I can't even read it, the easiest way to convey football knowledge?
I think, again, the easiest way to convey football knowledge, you got to meet it, and then you got to do it on the field. I think meeting's important. Everybody talks about their room. We have a good room. We have a bad room.
Everybody's had a good room.
Yeah, you can have a good room. But two things on there I got to give you this advice. There's nothing like being on the field. Take them out on the field.
Yes.
Walk through stuff, show them, demonstrate as best you can. I was a big demonstrator. I got knocked around a lot of stuff sometimes, but I would demonstrate, get that done. And then the other thing is, and this is eternal, maybe this it's on every staff you've been on, every staff I was on. You got some guys that are rep guys. You've heard this. Oh, we need reps. We need reps. We'll fix that. We'll get on the video and fix that. No, I did not do nothing. Some guys beat me that were rep guys. So I'm not saying I have all the answers. But for that, coach, let's not get so many reps. Let's get reps doing it right. You know what I mean? You only have 20 minutes that period, or 12 minutes, or however you block out. Let's have practice doing it right. And I gotta be honest with you, we had some arguments on our staff on that. Hey, coach, we got all the videos, we got 2 angles, we can fix it. It's college football. There's nothing wrong with fixing it. That's why we take the video to look at the video at practice. But I'm gonna fix it now. I want that thing done right, even if it's only a few reps.
Yeah, Coach.
That's me.
Now, this is another question from a friend of mine. He's took a job, and the former head coach is still in the building, and that guy is being toxic. All right. How would you handle that, Coach, if you were a high school head coach and the former head coach is in the building and he was talking bad about your program and being toxic?
The only thing I'd give you, I've never been through that, I've heard about guys that way, is you got to kill them with kindness. They got people in the building, we got to see you, that you're a positive person, that you don't respond to negativity, and then the players, they won't know him right away, but if they see that he's positive, he's responding that way, that's the best way. You got to kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
And show people, that your program has a lot to offer, and that you're not saying you have all the answers, and we're doing some things different. And hey, if you find something that he did the same, say this is the way you did it last year, we're going to do it that way. But your only choice is kill him with kindness, because he's going to be in the building, right?
Yeah. Okay, so here you go. Hey, Coach, when is it too late for a player to change?
You know, you hate to say it's never too late, but if you give a player enough chances and, you know, you feel like you've been positive, you feel like he's a problem, you feel like he's not contributing to the team, I'd say that's a moving target. But when you felt that way and your staff feels that way, and if he's negative, he has to go. And I would always say, you know, I hope we're parting friends or parting, and don't get into it with him. It's got to be quick. You know, the decision's already been made. So, you know, hey, the coach doesn't like me, or the players don't like me, or we're playing that guy because of his dad, or, you know, something like that. Don't get in that argument. You know, those issues have been decided. That's over. You know, and we're parting, and I hope we're parting friends. I want to wish you good luck, but that meeting is short. Now, there's longer meetings when you decide to have that meeting, but that meeting is short. And it's the same way with the coach. I've had to let coaches go.
Yeah.
You know, don't sit there and go over everything, but there is a time when there are players that have to go. I like to say that, you know, one time I used to take a group of guys to Arizona to play golf. We take 4 foursomes, and we were on our way back sitting in the airport in Salt Lake. He said, Coach, God, you know, you've done well, and you probably never had any problems with anybody. I said, we have problems like crazy. When I get home, I'm going to have problems. You know, it's just how you handle it.
I mean,
but I would handle that one that way. There's some guys that just, it doesn't fit. You know, it just doesn't.
So pretty much fires are going to occur. It's like being a firefighter. You don't have to go look for the fires because they're going to come, right?
It's going to happen. You're going to have problems. You're going to have guys that won't get with it. And you know, it's just maybe they'll go to some other team. Maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll be a better student. Hell, maybe they'll run cross country. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, they do have to go.
So, Coach, what would you like to say to all your fans out there, all the coaches that are going to be watching this? I'm going to tag you. You're going to retweet it. You know, what would you like to say to all the coaches out there, the high school coaches that are out there, the college guys that might be watching, Coach, or going to watch?
It's a wonderful time of year, man. We're all undefeated right now. So I'm going to wish all of you good luck. I know that not only going to win every week, but hopefully you end up winning more than you lost, and hopefully enjoy it even a little bit as much as I did for all those 40 years.
Wow. Yeah, Coach. What, Greg? You got anything you want to ask, Coach?
I just want to say thank you, Coach. This has been a blast. This hour has been great. I learned a lot. I took a bunch of notes. And I look forward to maybe, you know, we get to do this again some other time, because I think there's a lot more that we can dive down and learn from you, because you said a lot of amazing things, little nuggets of gold throughout this, whether it's even for non-football coaches or people in my position of just, you know, being positive and working through that positivity. And thank you. And I hope Miss Pam Green has a great night, and you do as well.
Well, hey, thanks, guys. I get to Virginia, I'm going to look you up. You get to Montana, you look me up. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.